Hello again, YouTube. This is Dr. Kendo, and I'm back with Scribblenauts Unlimited. That's the name of this game. I create things in the object editor. It's one feature of the game where you can create your own characters and things. You can see on screen who we're creating today. Of course, I could have chosen a lot of characters from the Peanuts movie or comic strip, but basically we focused it on the top 3 that were requested because, again, there could have been so many other Peanuts characters that we could have created as well, and it never would have ended. So this is just for Snoopy, Woodstock, and Charlie Brown. Anyway, we started off with a boy as the source object. For today's first object, we're going to be creating Snoopy here first. Snoopy is absolutely my favorite character in the Peanuts show, just in Charlie Brown's legacy and everything. I love Snoopy. Then we'll take a Joey right now. We're taking the body of a Joey. That's a baby kangaroo, of course. Basically, put that body of the Joey as the torso or body for Snoopy. And keep on the legs of the boy right here, but then we took off the arms and we also took off the head. We can create the head and body separately. You can also make this a one-part object. Yeah, you don't have to do it separate. There are a few other details, I guess, that you would sacrifice if you did it that way, so I am just going to make them separate. But anyway, we've got a gelatin, which is going to be like the thighs or basically his legs for the most part. And then we've got a cowpea, C-O-W-P-E-A, and then there's the letter I. That's going to be for his collar. If I didn't mention it, the cowpea is for the arms. I guess I should have said the arms and the hands. And chicken finger right here is what we're using for the feet. We're also going to use this for Charlie Brown's shoes, so it's kind of a stamp that we'll use a lot today, I guess. And here we go with a fang. That's what we're going to use for the tail, of course, as you probably noticed. And so there's a gelatin now on both sides, a cowpea on both sides. Here we go. So we'll move everything, kind of adjust it. We've got most of it done already. We do need to add a few more details, though. So here with the feet, after we've got them positioned, you know, his legs aren't very tall or anything, just like a lot of the Peanuts characters, honestly. But with that, the gelatin is just one of many stamps you could use. So by all means, there are plenty of things that you could also do it with. But we've got 29-page library arm shapes from the 20th page up in the top right corner and down in the bottom middle. Those are for the little lines where his toes are, you know, so to distinguish where his toes go. And then on the 10th page of that 29-page library, there's this green mutant arm that you see us moving here to the back. That's just so that there is a Snoopy, the spot on Snoopy's back. You know, most of the time we probably won't see that because his arms are in the way, but when his arms move, we'll get a glimpse at them. And so anyway, we're going to go into the scripting here soon after we move some more just little small adjustments for the stamp pieces that we have on now. So I'm going to go ahead and read some background information and fun facts. The Peanuts comic strip ran from October 2nd, 1950 to February 13th, the year 2000, continuing with reruns after that. It was written and illustrated by Charles M. Schultz, and there were 17,897 strips published of Peanuts, making it one of the longest stories ever told by any one human being. Fun fact, Schultz actually hated the name Peanuts for his comics and cartoons, believe it or not. But anyway, an obvious fact of the Peanuts is that it has a clear focus on a society of young children with no adult characters actually being shown. The main character, as many of us know, is Charlie Brown, a kid who is nervous and is lacking in self-confidence, but we also know many of our other beloved characters from Peanuts, like my favorite, Snoopy, of course. And then there's also Woodstock, Sally Brown, Lucy, Linus, Schroeder, Pigpen, and we can just go on and on and on and on and on. Another fun fact, though, on this train of thought is that pop singer Fergie actually voiced Sally, Charlie's little sister, from 1983 to 1985 in the TV show. And she was 9 years old when she started that voice work. But anyway, hopefully you noticed we started off with the head as the source object and put the Joey's body there as kind of the main shape of his head, and then the middle piece of a worm for the black nose, and then we've got this end of a walrus, basically, the walrus flipper tails, painted all black. That's going to be his ear. And then I'm going to go ahead and take a piece of the Kraken right here. So type in Kraken, and you can grab any one of these kind of bended pieces just before the tips of the Kraken's tentacles and things. You can see that there's like a bendy part on a lot of his tentacles. And so we'll take that for basically the upper part of Snoopy's eyes, and then his actual eyes, the black parts of his eyes, are going to be the 29-page library upper right straight arm piece. And then Pimple, painted white and shrunk down as small as you can make it pretty much, is going to be for the little white spot in his eyes. Another bendy Kraken piece is going to start off the mouth, but before I finish that off, we'll put also 29-page library arm shapes, that same bendy one from his toes. We'll put that same one on the 20th page. That's going to be as his little eyebrows up top there. And then we'll also use the same piece that we used for the black of his eyes. We're going to double that up for his little smile right here. You could probably also use a jellyfish upper tentacle part to close this off, but I felt that this would basically get me just the length that I I needed, and I had plenty of stamp space to work with for the head, and rounded off the smile with another Kraken bent piece on the other side, just below the nose. But as I said, the 3 characters in today's episode were asked for the most by all of you, the viewers. And surely it was in light of the semi-recent release of the 2015 Peanuts movie by Blue Sky Studios and 20th Century Fox. Interestingly enough, this new film was written by Charles Schultz's son and grandson, and also featured archived recordings from Bill Melendez, the voice of Snoopy and Woodstock. You can see Snoopy complete here on screen, and I'll just finish my thought, but not only does the new film commemorate the 65th anniversary of the comic strip and the 50th anniversary of the Charlie Brown Christmas TV special, but ABC also celebrated the 50th anniversary of the Christmas special on their network. I watched it with my wife, and it was fun and amazing, and now we've moved on, of course, as you guys can see in the episode, trying to move fast here, because we do have a few other creations to get to. Charlie Brown is who we're creating. I started off with a serial killer, of all things, as the source object. You are going to want to be sure that in the scripting you take off his behavior, because you don't want Charlie Brown to go around killing people. Maybe you do, but I don't. And so Nick Southam, Southam, that's who we used for the arms. So right here we've got Nick's front arm, and then we're taking his back arm to put there on Charlie Brown right there, because he's got some short little arms. And we're going to do this Scribblenauts style, probably not give him like a big fist and fingers and stuff like that. We'll kind of leave it like this, because I think that this will fit my design that I'm looking for. I'm basing most of these off of the new 2015 film, of course, which is probably largely, again, what you guys requested it for. But I'm also throwing in that Scribblenauts touch that, I usually do. Sometimes I give the characters extraordinary detail, and sometimes I go kind of for a less is more approach. It just all depends, and I think the Peanuts characters really could lend themselves to the Scribblenauts universe. So you can see that we've used Chicken Finger again for the shoes here. This is the serial killer's legs are kept on there, so we didn't have to use any extra stamps for that or anything. And then I used the letter I as sort of the sole or the bottom of the shoes right there, kind of at the heel especially. A head is the source object for Charlie Brown's head, but we're going to replace the main shape of it with a sphere. Now, the only reason I didn't start off with a sphere as the source object, you could do that, but for one, I know that I'm not going to run out of stamp pieces for this, but also I wanted to turn the sphere a little bit. If you started off with sphere as your source object in your beginning, you wouldn't be able to rotate it without putting another sphere down, which would, basically defeat the purpose. So I wanted to rotate it because the sphere does have this little shadow or shading. You can see it on the right side right here for our Charlie Brown face, and I wanted that shading to be facing that direction. And so anyway, chicken nugget twice is for the ears. The worm, middle piece, same thing we use for Snoopy's nose. We use that for Charlie Brown's eyes here, and then a chicken nugget for his nose, and the upper tentacle piece of the jellyfish, we use that twice to be for the main parts of his mouth, and then on either end to make it kind of like an awkward, smiley looking mouth for Charlie Brown. I used 29-page library pieces, the same ones that we used for Snoopy's, the black part of Snoopy's eyes, and we're using a lot of those same 29-page library parts that we use a lot here on the hair for Charlie Brown. But you also hopefully noticed we used like that little mustache piece. It's like one side of a mustache or a curly Q, basically. It's near the beginning of the 29th-page library. You could see it. And a pimple is going to be for the little white specks in his eyes. And just finishing off his crazy hair, it's like he's bald mostly, but he's got this like front hair that is all twisty and curly and stuff. And so we'll finish that out with a rat tail right here. Otherwise, it was just 29-page library arm shapes again that were sort of making everything else beyond the curly Q, the little pigtail. Again, those bendy 29-page library arm shapes in the bottom middle of the 20th page, those are for his eyebrows. And then we actually have the eyebrow stamp on either side of his eyes. Sometimes in Peanuts, they have those little creases or lines next to their eyes. And so that's what we've done for Charlie Brown here. Anytime that you're creating a head and a body separately, be sure that your head object, when you go into the scripting for it, you go down to the equipment tab and check off the little circle or box or whatever, check off the circle that says can be worn on the face like glasses. Anyway, you can see our Woodstock here is on screen now, and it's complete. We've got an alien as the source object. You can keep the alien's legs, shrink those down a lot, and shrink the body, but take off the head and the arms, and for the arms, we'll use the wings of a crocoduck. So it's like a duck and a crocodile, it's a crazy hybrid creature in Scribblenauts, but you could use a lot of things. I mean, there's so much that could work for that. Probably even goldfish bottom fin, although that might be just a little bit too thin for most people's liking. But I mean, there's so much you could use for that shape. We've got a octopus tentacle right here. You can see when we're taking another one, you can tell basically the first tentacle piece that we grabbed was to our left, and this one is to our right in the back that we're putting on now. these are basically for Woodstock's toes. Now, Woodstock's feet, really you don't see the legs very much, if at all, depending on what design you're looking at. And so Woodstock, I did give it a little bit of the leg showing, but mostly those octopus tentacles. We may even move them up a little bit at the end, because those little feet of Woodstock are quite close to the body, a low to the ground character. Anyway, you saw that I used a 29-page library arm from the 3rd page down there at the bottom of the 3rd page. That is for the neck. So raise the head, the entire head up. And then a crane, of course, the bird crane. Take the feathers, or wing, I guess I should say, the wing of a crane right there, and that's going to be for the tail as well as a feather. So I typed in feather also to kind of get some more feathers within Woodstock's tail back there. And a Joey is, of course, the body shape once again. We used it again for the head right here of our cute little Woodstock design. Those hairs or feathers that are all on Woodstock's head are made up of a lot of things, so we'll get to that in a second, but a worm's middle piece of its body, painted all black, is what we used for the eyes on Woodstock. And then a pimple, once again, is going to be for the white glint or glimmer in its eyes. And then we've got a hair is going to be for the bottom feathers, I guess, or hair pieces there for Woodstock. And then all the rest of them are ivory. So there are 4 other ones. Now, if you actually count the feather pieces on different designs of Woodstock, you'll actually see, again, it's different designs, but you'll see a different number of feathers in there. This is simply based off of an image right here that for our creation in Scribblenauts. It's based off of a promotional poster that had Woodstock on it for the 2015 Peanuts movie. You saw there the little bendy piece of the Kraken again that we used for Snoopy's smile. We've used that for Woodstock's as well, and it's actually turned in either direction. So the one to our right, that Kraken piece it has the point going up. And then for the one to our left, you could almost say it's like the blunt end, the roundish end of it or whatever is on the left part of the smile. And then a jellyfish tentacle piece is going to round it all out and complete that smile. So here we go. I just put on a red doghouse. I didn't, create that or anything. That's the stamp of doghouse in Scribblenauts right here, but I just gave it the adjective red so that we could have a red doghouse there that we had Snoopy standing on top of. The Snoopy probably needs to just be like 1 or 2 pieces shorter, I guess, for Scribblenauts, so that it'll be a little bit shorter than Charlie Brown right there, although it kind of already is, but Snoopy is just a bit shorter in comparison usually. But we also showed off earlier, when I was showing off Snoopy here in the game, I was just talking about all the fun facts, I kind of missed it, but Snoopy, as I mentioned, you can create as just one object. You don't have to do a 2-parter, but the main difference that you'll probably notice is that on our Snoopy that was just one part, it didn't have the full smile, it just had sort of the end Kraken piece, so there was only one piece, whereas that smile was actually made up with 4 stamps just to make that one smile on the head piece when I created the head and the body separately. Does that make sense? So basically when Snoopy was all one object, the smile had less detail to it, because otherwise you'd run out of stamp space and something has to be sacrificed, I guess, in place of that. But I gotta say, I appreciate everybody's attention, everybody's support. You guys, you're absolutely amazing. This is the best community. I do live streams pretty much most Monday nights at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Usually it's over on twitch.tv/DRKENDO. That's twitch.tv/DrKendo. And anytime there's a Splatoon Splatfest, I will live stream that here on the YouTube channel. Otherwise, keep coming back every Sunday for Scribblenauts creations, and I just create whatever is most popular or most requested by the most amount of different people each week. So it's not like I'm picking and choosing something to create each week. It's based on your votes and your suggestions. But again, whatever's most popular, basically most asked for by the most amount of different people in my comment section, just on Scribblenauts creation videos. I don't count them on Facebook, I don't count them on Miiverse, I don't count them on other YouTube videos, just on these creation videos. But anyway, I will catch you on the next vid, and thanks for viewing. Down to the matter, let's look at it more. My words ain't meant to be about wage of war. They're meant to bring justice to all wrongdoers. They're like a spectacle, so you can be the viewer. And down the road